Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ghosts in the Machine. I love doing that. In this episode, we're going to go back to the 1990s. Woo! Yeah, we're going to hit 1992 and 93 when an episode of Sightings came out, and it featured a case called the Polaroid Ghost, or the Ghostwriter case. Now, in brief, it was a story about a house where there were two guys living there, and they were using a Polaroid camera to communicate with a ghost. So specifically, they were taking pictures, Polaroid pictures, and capturing all kinds of messages from a ghost. And it made the news, and it got really popular for a time. And I remember seeing the episode. I remember really enthusiastic about it. Like, wow, this is really awesome. Because back then, I was still a believer. But like most things that I watched in the late 80s and 90s, I kind of forgot about it after I initially saw it. That's what happened with this case. I saw it on TV, I thought it was great, and then I promptly forgot about it. That is until a few weeks ago when a buddy of mine who goes by the name of Crow of Judas, he runs a YouTube channel and he does a lot of debunking videos and he does live streams. He's a bit raunchy, just in case you want to go over and watch him. He's a really good guy, but he's a little raunchy, just giving you a heads up. He was looking at old episodes of Sightings, and while he was doing this, it was a live stream, so I happened to stumble upon it when I was going through YouTube, and I got in there, and I got in the comments, and as soon as I said, hey, I usually say, hey there, everyone, this happened.
Counter leads the witnesses.
By the way, Kenny, do you remember the thing from the 80s and 90s where they would take a photograph and there was words like written down on the photograph? Did you debunk that? Polaroids, yeah. I can show you real quick. Is Kenny still here too? It's this one right here. I wanted to show real quick the Polaroid episode.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. Tonight, a special extended report on the most important ghost investigation ever conducted on Sightings. For the first time ever, hard evidence has been found that could prove the existence of communication with spirits. This historic case began with a call to our Sightings hotline. A viewer contacted us to say that he had captured ghostly communication on Polaroid instant film. These are the pictures that have astonished researchers and left photographic experts baffled. They contain messages and images that seem to indicate communication with spirits.
So from there, it kind of piqued my interest again. I was really into it because me and Crow and everyone else in the chat, we spent the next hour or so trying to figure out how these Polaroids were done, how the writing appeared on the Polaroid images. And I thought it was great. I thought it was so much fun because at first I had this idea, which turned out to be completely wrong. And I had another idea, which turned out to be completely wrong. So that really piqued my interest. So that's what we're getting into today. Let's start by giving you a general idea of the overall story. So our story begins back in 1985, when a man named John Mikowski, who was a screenwriter, a cinematographer, and eventually came to own a fine art gallery called Darkroom in Los Angeles. He and a former roommate had begun renting a room in Los Angeles. In 1986, Mikowski purchased this same home, which was about 888 square feet, from his father, John Sr., via an inter-family transfer, which probably means he got a good deal. According to the book, The Polaroid Ghost, there had been footsteps heard on the roof, reported by several people. This includes the former roommate that was unnamed, and then friends that were coming over to visit. But there were never any sightings of ghostly apparitions. No ghostly forms, no EVPs, no ghostly voices, nothing like that. Just these footsteps on the roof. And these can easily be attributed to animals running around, because the property, when you see a satellite image of it, is surrounded by trees and sits on the outskirts of Elyria Canyon Park. Animals on the roof is probably your best choice. Given the information that we have, which isn't much, that's the most logical conclusion. And again, no other activity had been reported so far. Enter John Huckert. In the summer of 1991, John Huckert had moved into the house because Mikowski and Huckert had struck up a good friendship. They were close. Huckert needed a place to stay. So John Mikowski said, hey, I got an extra room. Come on in. After moving in, Huckert claimed to have seen a woman walking up to the front door wearing a 1920-style dress. The woman apparently disappeared before she knocked. Like, he was in there, he saw her out the window, he expected to hear a knock on the door, and when he went to the door, nothing was there. It's also stated in the book, The Polaroid Ghost, that this isn't the only time that John Huckert has allegedly witnessed an apparition. There were plenty of others, apparently, but they don't go into detail about that. Now the real fun starts. In March of 1992, a ghostly form first showed up in a Polaroid photo. This one. John Huckert said he was sitting in his kitchen, working on a screenplay, when he felt a presence. Then he noticed the bathroom door, which was on the other side of the room, was open. But he says he doesn't recall it being open before. This seriously sounds like a scene from a low-budget horror film. Oh, he is a screenwriter. He grabbed a Polaroid Spectra camera that his father had given him for Christmas, which John claims still had about half a pack of film in it. He fired off a shot towards the bathroom and waited for the film to develop. Nothing showed up. Huckert kind of felt silly after that, so he went across the room, closed the bathroom door, and went back to work. Moments later, he claims the bathroom door started to creep open. Seriously, is this not like every horror movie we've ever seen? Huckert was now very nervous. He said he felt a presence again, and as he fumbled for the Polaroid camera, he accidentally took a picture of the television set that was by him. He finally calmed down. He was able to snap a photo of the bathroom area and then waited for it to develop. This time, something did show up, and as he described it, it showed up as a ghosty ghost. This. That looks like someone took a wad of wet toilet paper and then just threw it against a piece of glass and held that up in front of the camera and took a picture. Doesn't it? I mean, it just looks like toilet paper. Oh, and like any good horror movie, it escalated from there. It kept improving and kept getting better, because horror movies, that's what happens. You get a little glimpse of something, like little weird things, like a light will flicker or a door will open by itself, and then there's nothing for a little bit, and then it ramps up. And this is what we get here. By June 12th of 1992, the first word appeared, the word yes, and it appeared allegedly to the question, is it here now? And I say allegedly because there's simply no documentation of this. I get this story from the book, The Polaroid Ghost, and the author wasn't present at the time, so he's relying on remembered conversations and interviews that he had. Over the next few months, the writing improved greatly, going from the original yes that was barely legible to writing that was, well, pretty clear. I mean, it was legible, it was readable, everyone could see what it was saying. It appeared in both English and Latin. Latin, you say? Yes, I said Latin. Let's not put too much thought in the fact that the two Johns had at least 2 Latin-English dictionaries in the house. 2 of the most popular and most famous of the Polaroids that came out of all these sessions were when 2 questions were answered. One was, what is your name? And on one of the Polaroids, it says right with a W. You can see it here. The other one came from when they were asking the ghost, the alleged ghost, if there was a story written about you, what would the title be? What would you want the title to be? And what developed on the Polaroid was Ghostwriter, which is how we got the name of the episode of Sightings and how it is now known throughout the paranormal circles as the Ghostwriter case. After that, they were inviting friends over. They had parties where people were taking Polaroids and getting all these weird messages, and many in Latin. They were translating them. And then came the moment where they called sightings. I'll let John Huckert tell you in his own words how that came about.
We were watching this new show on TV called Sightings, and they showed a picture of a ghost, and John goes, he's like, what the Polaroids are seeing there, and he goes, that's not a ghost, and he picks one and goes, this is a ghost. And we just laughed. He goes, you know what, I'm going to send them a copy. And I said, okay. So he like Xeroxed it or mimeographed, whatever they did back in the 90s, took a Xerox of it, I guess, or, and he sent it to him. And we just thought it was funny. And I swear, as soon as they got it, they called us.
So in 1993, a sightings crew, along with Kerry Gaynor, known for his involvement with the Doris Byther, aka the Entity case, arrived at the house and attempted to replicate the phenomenon. What was promoted as a serious investigation pretty much fell short of that goal. We're told during the episode that the friends of the two Johns were invited to participate because they had gotten results before. Check this out.
Since the ghostwriting first appeared, several of John's friends have also been able to capture messages on film. We asked them to participate in our investigation.
This presents two problems. First, there are too many people in this house. It was only 888 square feet of living space in the house, minus the two bedrooms, and then all the furniture that's in the living room, kind of dining room and kitchen, that's all one long room, and then all those people. I counted at least 10 people in that in the crew in the sightings episode. At least 10 people, all going about. This brings up a problem with accountability. And even in the episode, Kerry Gaynor talks about the chain of evidence.
To establish a chain of evidence, you have to be able to observe the phenomena from the beginning to the end. So we have to load the film. We have to show that it's a sealed pack. We have to show that it's our camera. We have to fire it. We have to control the film as it comes out. We have to establish a chain of evidence. And once we do that, I'll feel much more comfortable.
But from that clip, it doesn't sound like they were able to keep track of the chain of evidence. They weren't able to document every single thing with every pack, like keep track of them. Because with so many people and so much going on, I personally think it would be quite easy to slip in a prepared pack of film and have your wondrous results for the TV show. The second issue is, according to the sightings episodes, which there were two, there was the season 2, episode 15, original broadcast called Ghostwriter, and then season 2, episode 17, 2 episodes later, where they had a Ghostwriter update. And this is when they had Peter James come along. He was a famous psychic at the time. He came into the house. But the only people in these 2 episodes that actually got ghostly pictures that we saw on screen, the footage that they edited and put out for broadcast. So based on those episodes, the only people that got pictures of ghostly messages were the two Johns and their friends, Martha, Marty Elkin, I hope I'm saying that right, and Rick Weiss. That's it. Controlled photos from the crew of sightings that came up didn't turn up anything.
Many controlled photographs were taken with no results.
So that makes you wonder, like, okay, I know I don't want to come out and just accuse them of a hoax right away, but you know, it's definitely in the cards. To a lot of people in the paranormal community, this case remains unsolved. It remains a mystery, and skeptics, those evil people out there like me, have never been able to replicate the Ghostwriter Polaroids and show that we could debunk it. That would be wrong. It's been done at least twice on TV, and then once in a newsletter that I'm going to bring up. And now that we're done with the whole background story, let's take a closer look at these photos. So the first solution that we get is actually included in the sightings episode. There's a gentleman there by the name of Edson Williams, and he is from the Brooks Institute of Technology. He's a photography expert, and he takes the film back. He takes some of the film back to his lab, and he analyzes it. And now he's looking at it through like early 1990s technology, through a program that he developed himself, and he's blowing the images up, and he's looking at the lettering and seeing little details, and to him, he sees what looks like threads, cotton threads, just like this, like little cotton threads that are coming off of this. He's looking at these letters, and he thinks that's what he sees. So in a segment, we see him use cotton to make letters and spell out the word sightings, and he takes a picture of it, and you know what? I'll just show you.
In his lab, Williams demonstrated for Sightings how he believes the writing could have been created.
The initial step was to shoot pulled cotton with a 4x5 camera using E6 film. The next step was to pre-expose the Polaroid film. I removed the cover sheet of the Polaroid pack and inserted the transparency with the text on it. Using a flash pack, I exposed the Polaroid with the text. I removed the transparency and reinserted the cover sheet and load the film normally.
Although Williams did create writing similar to that of the alleged ghostwriter, his elaborate process took over an hour to complete. It would be difficult to recreate the same process in the house with observers.
This is fun. So the cotton hypothesis, I don't really agree with. I think it's fun, and I do think it's a good idea. I think it would work. I mean, I had fun doing it and spelled out my name. It's still here. I think this would be a very plausible method. I don't think it would be practical given the amount of time, but I think it'd be plausible. I would take I would take a picture of this first, which I'll put up on screen here. I would make that into a transparency like this, so it looks, you can see my name there, and then actually slide it in, do the exact same thing that Edson Williams, the photo expert, did, where you take this transparency, you put it into the film cartridge or the film pack, and you take a picture. And then you come up with a picture like this, where it's the same thing. I don't think using cotton every single time would make sense. It would be time consuming, especially with the amount of photographs that they were pumping out. When they had parties, they were doing, it looked like, and I don't have an exact count, but I would say they had anywhere between like 10 and 25 at least photos for every party. And that would be a lot. You figure it would take a few minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes to set up everything, each shot, and then take a photo of it, make a slide, that whole process. And as you saw, like it took this, the photo expert, an hour and 15 minutes to do the entire thing. And I don't know if that included like stopping and starting because of the film crew or what, but it would be time consuming with the amount of photos that were being taken. However, I do agree with the second part of his explanation where he takes a slide, he makes a transparency, and he takes the cartridge out of the Polaroid camera, slides the transparency into the cartridge, and exposes that layer of film with a flash. He uses another camera to use the flash, and then he takes that transparency out, puts a dark slide back in, loads up the camera. Boom, you got it. The end result there was a little overexposed. You could see the yellow. You can see the yellow tint all over the photo here, and that's because he was doing it with some light. Obviously, what we saw in that segment, the sightings segment, probably would not work at all because there was way too much light. He was working in light. He wasn't working in a dark room. So as soon as he took that dark slide off, that film would have been exposed, and it would have kept getting exposed the more he waited until he put the dark slide in. So I don't think that part would work, and he probably recreated what he did here for the example that he showed the screen. The point that I also want to make with this segment is that at the end, they say it took him an hour and 15 minutes to prepare for that. And Tim White says,
Although Williams did create writing similar to that of the alleged ghostwriter, his elaborate process took over an hour to complete. It would be difficult to recreate the same process in the house with observers.
That point is actually irrelevant because all the prep time would be done before the guests showed up or before the sightings crew showed up. So, I mean, think of it this way. If you have a magician, most of his the setup for his tricks for the show would be done prior to the show. You know, your hidden objects, your secret compartments, timing, practice, all this stuff is done prior to the show so that when you see it, it flows really easy and it looks very, very fluid and very natural. So in this case, all the prep time or the preparations would be done well beforehand. And the film would be ready to go, either in the cameras already, because we do have a clip from one of their parties where someone gets a photo with a message on it, and she's asked, like, who gave you the camera? And this is what she says. So two things stand out with this clip. One is that the woman that took the picture has no clue who gave her the camera. That's what she says in this. So she has no clue who gave her the camera, where the camera came from, if the film was messed with beforehand, nothing. She just took it. She's at a Halloween party, so that's not really a concern, to be fair. But she took the picture, it came out with something weird, and voila, it's accepted as this is a ghost that made this photo happen. Not any checks or fact checking or, hey, where did the film come from? Nothing like that. The second thing I want to point out is that the psychic, Peter James, apparently has no idea what happened either. Even though he's a psychic and he's supposed to be able to see these spirits and talk to these spirits, he has no clue where the photo came from or where the ghost was hiding. So I thought that was pretty funny. So I would advise everyone, like when you see that and you think, oh, it takes too long to prepare for it, you could never do that in front of the sightings crew. You don't have to. It's already done before the crew showed up. And all you're getting is the end result. That's it. So let's look at another instance where a bunch of skeptics figured it out and actually did a better job. So this whole investigation and video that you're watching now began with a live stream from Crow of Judas, which you saw in the beginning of this video. During that live stream, we started researching and investigating the claims and trying to figure out if anyone had already investigated and or solved the Polaroid writing, if they figured it out. And we did come across a website, and I'll show you. I'll show you the clip here. Let's see. Take a look at this newsletter from the Georgia Skeptic where they discuss their simplified method for creating the Polaroid ghost photos. Oh, look at that.
You want to share a screen?
Yeah. This is old. Let me
Alrighty then.
All right. So this is old. Let's see. Psychic Healing. Yeah. Spirit Writing Photograph Exposed by Anson Kennedy.
Ooh.
Go down to that. Let me blow this up for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Spirit Writing Photographs Exposed. So this newsletter went into pretty good detail, explaining how they were able to recreate the Polaroids that we see in the Ghostwriter case. And they talk about not just using India ink, like a coating of India ink, which we'll see later. We will see later when we go into the fact or faked episode. But using India ink, they also used airplane paint, just regular airplane paint, and this is in the newsletter, with a roller, and rolled it onto clear sheets of acetate. This stuff, the flexible plasticky stuff, pretty good. So when you paint this surface, you can get a surface that you can etch. And that's what they did. They used either a knife or a screwdriver or whatever and scratched in messages. Similar to these. So you can actually put up like things like Ghostwriter here. This is the shiny side, but you have the India ink that's spread out on there. As noted in the newsletter, using India ink is not good enough. It's not opaque enough because light still gets through. You can see that it's shining through no matter what. So if you use this by itself, you're going to get overexposure. So that's why they used a top coat of paint. The article was really good. It was really in-depth. It was detailed. It was perfect. It addressed every issue with the Sightings episode that you could think of. However, the problem was, in that text-only form, I couldn't see the pictures that they referenced. And they referenced at least 2 or 3 pictures. I was desperate to find them. I really wanted to see what the pictures looked like, to see if they actually matched what was on the Sightings episode, or if they were kind of close, So I sat here and I thought, who could I ask? Who do I know that might know where to find a copy of that? CFI librarian, Tim Binga. Let's go to the mobile mischief camera. Hello, Tim. I have a question for you. Hello. I'm looking for a newsletter from the Georgia Skeptics from fall of 1993. Do you think we have it?
We have newsletters from the Georgia Skeptics. I don't know if we have that particular issue,
Okay.
but we can go take a look if you
I
want.
found an online version, but it references pictures, and there are no pictures with it. It's like a text-only version, like a bulletin board system kind of thing.
Okay.
So, but yeah, can we go check?
Yeah, we can go look. No problem.
Yay! Skeptics, yay.
93.
93.
The sun's a 92.
92. So we don't have it.
I don't think so.
Oh, folder number 2. Let's cross our fingers.
The sun's a 95, so...
Okay. That's a good sign. Yay! That's it.
Wait,
Wait.
you see that picture?
Yes.
I might have something here in our files.
Oh, but we have that.
I remember going through the Randy file recently for the project that shall not be named, and we will. I saw that, I think.
Shh. Can't talk about the project. Look at all these files.
This is our art department photo file
Ooh.
from the old days when we actually had paper copies.
Art department, newsletter department. Oh. Pictures. Make sure there's no weird stuff.
No guarantees.
I don't want to change the PG rating on this. Randy. Oh, look at that! That is awesome.
It's a picture of a picture.
Picture of a picture. But it's a color and a bit clearer picture than what's in the newsletter. But that's awesome.
You want to borrow it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, obscure reference man.
You're welcome.
So after finding that, I sat down, I read through the whole thing, and was able to see the pictures, which there's several pictures. There's 2 that they recreated. One is the one with James Randi that says believe on it. And then the other one I'll show on screen here in the newsletter because that's the best copy I have of it. It's Joe Nickel, a younger Joe Nickel, with the phrase join the Georgia Skeptics on top of it. Really cool. And then the other pictures show there's one of the slide with the acetate filter that they made inside the pack of film, and then the other one shows 2 cameras that they used. So really cool stuff, and I love how they really went into detail, and I highly recommend if you can get a copy or at least read it online. I'll try to include the link here so that you guys can find it and read it yourselves. But that's the second time it was exposed, and this was full-fledged. I mean, they gave you the exact details. Beautiful. I love it. So that's the second time. Now we're going to look at a third attempt by the TV show Fact or Fake. So real quick before we move on, I just want to throw in a little Easter egg here. The camera, the Polaroid camera that I've been using, this one, to take the pictures so far, the Polaroids that you might have seen me take so far, and then the ones that are on the desk here, which you'll see in a few minutes as the results of this experiment in this video, all came from the Georgia Skeptics. So this has a sticker on it that says the official Georgia Skeptics spirit camera presented to Joe Nickel April 16th, 1993. This is a month after the Sightings episode aired. And this camera was used to make some of the photos that you just looked at with James Randi and Joe Nickel. And I think it's a cool callback to the people that originally came out and said, hey, like we figured this out. This is probably the most likely reason for it. They printed this in a newsletter, which just didn't get wide distribution. So not a lot of people got to hear their explanation or understand where they were coming from. And I hope that this video in its entirety calls back and gives them credit for figuring out this phenomena that has been, for some people have been unsolved, but it really was. So let's move on. So attempt number 3 at recreating the Ghostwriter Polaroids comes from a TV show called Fact or Fate. In Season 1, Episode 3, which aired on October 13th, 2010, we have a group of people going to the house where John Mikowski and John Huckert live and attempt to investigate the Polaroids to see if they can recreate what's going on. So in full disclosure, I have to say right before we get into the clips, I don't like this show. I think it's highly exaggerated. I think it's overblown. I think they make it sound like the experts are really experts in specific fields when they are not. Case in point, when we get to the clip, we're going to see first one of the crew is named Chilan Lu, and she is promoted as a photography expert, but she is not. When I looked into her, when I tried to find her background, I found that she is a lifestyle and tech reviewer. She's a casting director. She's an actress. That's about it. I could find nothing that linked her to being a photographer or a photography expert. Yet that's what appears in the lower thirds when she's on screen. And I want to make it clear that I'm not blaming Chilan Lu for the lower thirds title. That's usually a choice by the producers and editors, how they want to represent the talking heads that are on screen. And I think that's very misleading because she's running experiments, as you're going to see in a moment. She's running these experiments with photography and teaching us how to do trick photography. And what really gets me is that she doesn't give credit where credit is due. So the process that you're going to see her explain is actually from the Georgia Skeptics, which we just covered, but she doesn't give them credit, which, again, irks me. But let's see what she has to say.
A lot of theories are floating out that the reason why this Polaroid gets crazy ghostwriting on it is because it's actually a play on exposure. So we've gone ahead and developed the acetate test, where we will take a piece of clear acetate, paint it, take undeveloped Polaroid film, pre-expose it with writing on it, feed it back into the camera, and then take a picture with it. So then it actually gets a double exposure on it, the first time with the writing and the second time with our image. And that will give us our ghostly writing on our own Polaroid.
Yep, no credit. Let's hear what else she has to say.
What we want to do is take this and make it opaque. Once we get an opaque layer here, we're going to actually scratch in the lettering, put it over, so then light will actually filter through the lettering that we've scratched, and the rest of it will stay unexposed. That will actually burn that light image into the film.
So they got the process down. The method is actually correct. It's just the tools that they're using are not sufficient enough. So we talked about India ink earlier in this video, talking about how it's not opaque enough, that they need it. The Georgia Skeptics, when they did this, they say it in their newsletter, and I'll show it on screen over here, that India ink isn't enough. It's not opaque enough to do the job. They actually had to use paint over top of that. So as we see in this clip, they're only using India ink, specifically Speedball India ink, which, just like any other brand, like the brands that I have, I use this one. What is this? Oh, this is Speedball. It's not opaque enough, and it's just not going to work. And we're going to see the process next, and you're going to see some things. I'm going to point out some issues with the continuing process. So let's roll the clip.
So the next thing we're going to do is head into the darkroom. So this is my pack of film. I'm going to jump down on the ground. I'm actually going to eject the film now, one by one. Larry, can you hand me one of the acetates? One. And this is up. So I'm going to hold it up to the film, and I'm going to have you go ahead and take my digital camera and just take a picture so that the flash exposes the film. And flash. Now that we've exposed every single one of our Polaroids, we have to put it back into the cartridge as if it hasn't been touched. All right, so all we have to do now is open up this pack, load it into our camera, and take our own ghost Polaroids.
Well, let's get to it.
All right, so there's a few things I want to say about this clip. One is that the process seems sound. It's the same process that was used by the photo expert in the original Sightings episode that we watched. It's the same process that the Georgia Skeptics detailed in their newsletter that we just looked over. And now they're using the same thing, even though they don't give anyone else credit. So they have their filter. They have their filter that has a scratched message onto it. They go into a dark room, which is actually the back of a truck. So it's not really a dark room. And I say this because as they're inside filming, one, they're using a night vision kind of camera kind of thing. I don't know if they're using infrared light or if they're just using a very low light with the sensitivity of the camera amped up, but they're using a light inside. That's already bad because a dark room, when you're working in a dark room with film, you have to work in complete darkness. And that's so that you don't get spoiled images like these. All right. So this is like just a little bit overexposed. You can see the yellow and orange kind of tint there. And this one here is way overexposed. That had too much light in it. And I mean, we're only talking like 2 or 3 seconds, maybe at the most, with a filter on top. So they're inside, they're using a light already from the TV camera. There's also light leaking in to the truck because at one point the camera looks up. There's a gentleman standing up, looking down over the young lady that's doing the photo trickery kind of thing. And we see that light is coming in from the top corners of the door that opens for the truck. And at one point, he's even looking at, you see him looking at some Polaroids, and he lifts it up closer to use the light coming in from behind him in order to see it better, which I think is kind of comical. Anyway, so there's already too much light coming in there, which is a problem. Even though they're using a blanket to cover some of these slides, they're still working in this environment with light, and they're taking it out and putting it back in. Too much light. Second, there is even more light coming in because they use a DSLR camera in order to do the pre-exposure. And at one point, the young lady says, okay, take a picture so we can pre-expose it.
I'm gonna hold it up to the film, and I'm gonna have you go ahead and take my digital camera and just take a picture so that the flash exposes the film. And flash.
So the guy takes the camera like this, points it down, and takes a picture like that. And the same thing that you just saw happens in there. The little light on here turns on. Okay, you see it briefly like there. If I cover the lens up, it'll come on a little bit longer. This is a rangefinder because it's using the optics in the camera in order to focus on something. And if it's a very low light situation, like the back of a truck with the door closed, then the camera can't actually see what it wants to focus on. So it turns on that light in order to illuminate the area, and then it focuses, which is great. It comes in focus, and then you can take the picture like that. The flash goes off. All of this light is shining down on the filter and the film slide that she's using here. But let me show you something here. She's holding it like this. Okay, she's holding the filter that she made up against the picture. She's not actually putting it in the pack, which is what you're supposed to do. She's holding it like this. And I want you to look. What do you see? You see gaps, okay? Even though I'm using 2 thumbs and 2 fingers to hold this down, there's still gaps all around. So light is getting in there. And I think I've showed you this before. If we're using acetate that we've painted India ink on, and we shine a light through it. Where's my flashlight? You can see that it's not very opaque. It still lets a lot of light through. And this is actually 3 coats. That's 3 coats of India ink on there. If they only put 1 or 2 on there, it's not going to be nearly enough, and you're going to get overexposure, which you do. You see a couple minutes later when they go in the house, they take the pictures, they develop, you see that many of them are overexposed to where they are more like that, where there's a lot of white on them. The only places that didn't get overexposed is where she had her hands or fingers covering the actually pressed against the film itself like this, and that blocked the light. So the execution was just poorly done. And it's really bad because we learned that they did experiments, they did test runs before they got to the house. So I want to play this clip and we'll talk about it in a second.
Our Polaroid experiment actually had some really confusing results. Take a look at this. This is the actual Polaroid that we did in our situation room. And you can tell the writing is there, and even though the lighting is off, it looks pretty close to what the Ghostwriter photographs look like. But when we did the same experiment in the Ghostwriter house, look at what happened. There are blobs of light instead of actual text.
So as you can see in this clip, they were pretty much on target.
Stay on target. We're too close. Stay on target.
With the method. they had it down. They did a test shot and they showed it to the camera. The only issue, which she mentions in the clip, was that they had a lighting issue. And that's probably because the acetate sheet that they used was not opaque enough, as we've already discussed. So it let more light through, which overexposed the film when they pre-exposed it. And that's why it had that yellow-orange kind of tint over the entire image, which they color corrected for the show. Because when they show the side-by-side with their test photo and then like an original Ghostwriter Polaroid, they are color corrected for each other. And I think that bothers me a little bit because it shows that they manipulated the photo before they presented it as a side-by-side to the audience. I don't like that. I wish they would have just left it as the original color. Anyway, I think the reason that the on-site photos that they did not turn out the way they expected was because, well, they kind of got cocky. They didn't consider the different environment, the different conditions they were doing all this under. So instead of being at a controlled location back at whatever like home base that they had in a probably a good dark room, they were in the back of a truck doing this. Instead of using maybe just a regular flash from another Polaroid camera or something like that, they were using a DSLR high intensity flash with the rangefinder spotlight going off. So lots of differences going on here, and they didn't account for that. So this to me is a rookie mistake.
Such a rookie mistake.
This is something I've learned over the years where you get into a method of producing something like some kind of trick to show your audience. And as soon as you go to a different location and everything's different, you have to start from square one. You can't just expect everything to turn out the way you want it to. So over the last few minutes, we have gone into 3 solutions for this Polaroid ghostwriting case. And now, the natural flow of this video, we're going to go into a 4th attempt, which is my attempt. I'm going to recreate the photos. I'm going to show you examples. I mean, I already recreated them. Really? I'm just filming this part for the benefit of the video, but I'm going to tell you what I did, and I'm going to show you a lot of examples, different things from the ghosty ghost that we talked about, and then the writing. And let's just get into it. Hey there! We're going to start this segment off in my makeshift dark room. This is an old conference room that we pretty much use for storage, as you can see. But I have my camera. There's the camera right there. And then the flashlight that I use over there. It's easier to control the light with a flashlight than the flash, because sometimes it wants to do multiple flashes or red eye reduction or something like that. This way I control how much time the light is on. I have an extra dark slide here that I can put back in the film pack, because whenever you take the film pack out of a Polaroid camera and then put it back in, it wants to automatically eject the dark slide. So if you don't put a dark slide back in, it will eject film, and you don't want that, because that's the film you just fixed or doctored or whatever you want to do. I have my templates, the first 2 templates that I have here that I'm going to use for this recreation. One is on just acetate sheet that I painted with the India ink, which they used in the Fact or Faked episode. So I have that, and I also have a piece of plexiglass, which I did the same thing. I just used India ink, and I'm going to fix these photos. But first, what we have to do, and which they kind of screwed up on the Fact or Faked episode and in the Sightings episode, you have to make it dark. So, ooh, spooky. All right, so now the rest of this I'm going to do here because obviously if I do this in the dark, you're not going to see anything. You're just going to hear a bunch of bumps and me going, damn it, come on, get in there, get in there. And it's going to sound really weird and be awkward. So we're going to do it in my office with the lights on. So just imagine that it's dark. When you put in a new pack of film, I mentioned that the dark slide, which is the top side here, protects the rest of your film. That will spit out. So we're going to look at this. There you go. There's the dark slide, comes out. So say you have a pack of film that has been in there. You only use like 2 or 3 shots. You still got a few more left, and you want to, fake them. You want to make some pictures. Or if you have a new pack, you just open it, you take the dark slide off when you're in a dark room and do all this. But we're going to talk about the sealed package later, opening a sealed pack and then resealing it. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. But here, all right, your pack's already in there. People are coming over. You're going to have a party. You want to impress them with the ghost in your house, leaving messages and stuff. So you would go into your dark room, turn it off, turn the lights off, open this up, take this out, and there's your film. You would take your slide, this one. I'm going to use this one here, which is I Am the Ghostwriter. You can see it right there. Okay. And we are going to slide it in. There we go. So now that's what it looks like. And I'm going to use my flashlight because I have better control on this. And this one clicks on and off. So I'm going to click it once, not release it, and then hold it here. Again, I'm in the dark, so I'm going to go. That's about it. That's all you need. I'm going to take this filter out. I'm going to put my dark slide back in. Just like this. I'm glad everything's cooperating. All right, there we go. We're going to open up our camera. Close it up. We're going to put our film in. Close it up. Dark slide spits out. We are ready to go. Our film is loaded. Then we can go take pictures or hand it out to other people and say, here, take a picture. Here you go. So I use different materials. I started out with the acetate and just the India ink. And I actually did this, which says solved on it. And I would say that's about 6 coats of India ink. And that's what it took for it to get opaque enough that it came up with that. So it says solved on there. And it looks pretty good. Look at that. It's looking really good. That's some ghost writing right there. I also use the acetate sheet that are printable. So these are all printable. So I put them in my LaserJet and I printed the Kenny that did this one that you saw earlier. Oh, and since the acetate sheets were printable, I could actually print out almost anything that I wanted. So you'll see this picture later. I also went to a more rigid material because I switched to plexiglass because it was a bit more rigid and it pressed against the film in the film pack better, and it gave me a slightly better results. But you can see there's I Am the Ghostwriter, and the writing from that came out really good too. That looks super awesome. Then I went from the India ink just straight to paint. Instead of doing India ink and paint as the Georgia Skeptics detailed in their newsletter, I just went straight to paint. So I took plexiglass and I put on 2 coats of spray paint. And you can see some of the results here. Actually, you know what? I want to show you the process because I did 4 pictures in a row. I doctored 3 of the 4. And then I had Eric behind the wall help me. So check this out. All right, so we're going to do an experiment. Eric has a camera. He's going to take about 4 pictures of me, and we're going to see if we can demonstrate that this can be done ahead of time. So it's all preloaded. We're going to take pictures here, and that's so we're going to do 1. Right, you can set it up. You guys watch it up. Okay, we're going to do 2. We're going to do 4. All right, 3. Cool. All right, we're going to leave these here on this little display so that you guys can see that they develop, and it's all one shot, so you're not seeing us like cut anywhere else. So it'll probably take a couple minutes. So we're going to walk away. I'll do the time lapse thing, speed it up, and then we'll come back when they're developed. Cool. Thank you. get you closer so you can see it better develop. That was pretty cool. And I really had fun doing that, and Eric really enjoyed it. And just to give you a close-up, these are the slides that I made, so you could see what they look like here. Again, this is just plexiglass with paint on it, so you see all those. And then here are the photos. Test number 1, you can see down here. Photo number 1, photo number 2. Subscribe to Skeptical Inquirer, please do. This is the control shot, number 3. And then here is never stop learning, because you should never stop learning. Learn it. All right, so we went over a couple different methods. We used the pulled cotton, making letters and taking a picture of that, making a slide out of that. We talked about using acetate sheets and painting it and then scratching messages into that surface. We went over like printable material. We went over just spray painting plastic or plexiglass and all of this stuff. And you might be thinking like, all right, Kenny, it's easy for you to do it. Like you're into photography and you know, you have all this big collection of cameras and this is what you do for a living. Yeah, you're right. I have the skills, I have the background and the experience and knowledge to do this. And you might be thinking like, well, the 2 Johns that lived in that house, they're just regular guys, right? How would they do this? The answer is pretty simple. John Mikowski, the owner of the house, worked at a photo lab. That's right. When he moved out to LA in 1982, from Philly, by the way, which is my hometown, yo, represent, he started working for a commercial photo lab named Modern. So he worked there for several years. And then he went to another place that was a fine art printer named Silver Lab. We know this because he mentioned this in an interview that he did with a French photography magazine. Also, it's briefly mentioned in this book, The Polaroid Ghost. Although he doesn't name the companies, he does say that he works at a lab. Now, this was information that was not shared on the original Sightings episode, nor was it shared on the Fact or Faked episode that we reviewed here. The only place that I saw it mentioned other than in here briefly was in the Georgia Skeptics newsletter, because Joe Nickel, who was my predecessor, appeared on a Canadian talk show way back in '93, and he was on the same episode as the 2 Johns. I couldn't get a copy of this. I really tried. I could not find this. But the Georgia Skeptics newsletter talks about how Joe Nickel appeared on this talk show and revealed that one of the Johns worked at a photo lab. So this information was withheld from the main story. It's never put out there. When you go to paranormal sites, it's not mentioned. This is a crucial detail, don't you think? Like he worked at a lab. That means he had access to the machinery, the tools, the supplies in order to make different slides. He could make transparencies like this because he developed film. He printed out the prints for the fine art galleries in the area. So he had the tools, the knowledge, the experience to do all this beforehand. Doctor the film either in his lab in a dark room or even at home, because it's pretty simple. Honestly, every photo that I did here that I showed you so far really only took me about, I don't know, like 2 minutes to do, start to finish. As soon as I made the slide, with the slide, it might have taken me an extra like 10 minutes to do. So it wasn't that much trouble. But if you're working at a lab and you can print stuff on demand much easier, yeah, it only takes a few minutes and you can bang them all out. So there was also the interesting fact that the ghost would only show up using the Polaroid spectral camera. And this is something that John Huckert said during an interview. So take a listen.
for some reason, it's only worked on the Spectra camera. It doesn't work on other Polaroids.
But that's not entirely true. We know from the Georgia Skeptics newsletter that they used both a Spectra camera and also a Polaroid one-step, which was a boxy camera like this. They also used the one-step camera that they gave to Joe Nickel during his experiments with them. And then for me, I was able to recreate this effect using a Fujifilm wide 300 Instax camera. So this has different film in it, a different camera, and then the ones that I was using with this camera is modern Polaroid film, which is different from the original stuff. Different chemicals. The old packs gave you 10 slides. Now you only get 8 because the chemicals are different and there's more of them and they can't pack as many into the pack. So the idea that it only worked with the Spectra camera, I think, was a plot device. It was a way for the two Johns to control the narrative, to say, hey, like, we're having parties. They were having Halloween parties and all that kind of stuff where they were inviting people over. And the only camera that they had available to them themselves was the Polaroid Spectra. So I think it was just easier for them to buy one type of film, doctor it when they needed to, and then have it ready for everyone. And if somebody else brought a Spectra camera in, they could do it too. But with anything else, it was just another cost in order to get like Polaroid 600 or the film for the SX70 film, something like that. So I think it was just a plot device to keep control of the entire story. Oh, and here's a few clips of me using the Fujifilm camera to make the ghostwriting instant film Polaroids.
All right, this is a test for 3 shots in a row. So turn the camera on, eject the dark slide, there you go. I'm gonna keep the camera in frame. We'll go around this way, give it to Eric behind the wall, who's gonna keep that in frame. Okay. Yeah, you got it. Okay, and we're gonna keep that in there. Hold it up until it's set. Yeah. Takes about 30 seconds, so I might double speed this. Ooh, it's upside down.
It is. Right was not here.
Oh, you can read that? That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to take this off, show it to the camera so they can see that's what it is. And we're going to put this to the side. Keep it in frame. We're going to do number 2.
Okay.
All right, same thing. I'm going to be so excited if this actually works.
We know how they did this.
Oh, look at that. We know.
And there's a little ghost.
There's a little ghost. All right, so we can take that out and show the camera. And we'll show you these when they're fully developed. So it'll take another few minutes for them to fully develop. And then one last one.
3, 2, 1.
Now, if this works, this is actually for the YouTube channel Crow of Judas, because Crow was the one that introduced me to the Sightings episode where we got this idea. So I wanted to do something, I wanted the ghost to acknowledge that Crow helped out a lot. Right. Inspired this. So we'll see how this turns out.
Does that say hot dogs?
It does.
There we go. Crow of Judas loves hot dogs.
Yeah, it's cut off a little bit, but
and mayo?
And mayo. Yeah, you got it. There you go, Crow. So we can take this out now and show you. There you go.
Very cool.
All right, so it worked. I'll let these fully develop, and we'll go to the next segment. Awesome. Thank you. So there's one more ghost image that I want to address, and that's the Ghosty Ghost. And that was the first one that John Huckert got, and it looked kind of like the toilet paper ghost that I described earlier in this video. So this is what it looks like, and I don't think this was done by pre-exposing the film. I mean, I don't actually know because I wasn't there when he created it, but what I do know is that from his story, and then also John Mikowski, that John Huckert was home alone that day when this photo was made, and then the other photos of the ghost were made. So I'm kind of thinking that this was done using Pepper's Ghost. Pepper's Ghost is an effect where you pretty much use the reflection of an object as the ghost. And this is seen in Disney's Haunted Castle or a Haunted Mansion in Disneyland and Disney World. There's lots of old theater productions that use Pepper's Ghost, and you basically have you have a viewing area here where the audience is you. You're looking on the stage, which is me, and there would be a big piece of glass or plexiglass, usually glass, that is on an angle, a 45-degree angle from our view, like right in front of us, okay? And then off to the side would be somebody dressed as a ghost. And it's a dark room over there. It's very dark. One light comes on, illuminates the actor that looks like a ghost, and the reflection shows up in the glass in front, so it looks like there's a ghost. Kind of like this. If you're set up, camera on you, and it's kind of dark and there's no lights or anything like that on, it's easy to hide. But once you turn a light on in the other room, you get a ghost. Look at that. Look, he's transparent. Oh. So, really cool effect, but all it is a piece of glass in front of the lens. And there's your ghost sitting on the shelf over there, and it just has to line up just perfectly. Let me get it there. There you go. There's your ghost. Disappears when there's no light on it. Boop. Ghost. No ghost. Ghost. No ghost. Ghost. No ghost. All right, so that was my quick and dirty setup. And when I went to recreate the Ghosty Ghost photos, this is the setup that I used. You can see here. Basically, I took my camera, where it is, and I shoved a piece of plexiglass between the flash unit on top and the base down here so that it was angled off to the side, so that when I have the ghost on the side of it over here, the reflection of that ghost would appear in that little piece of plexiglass, and I could take the picture. And the flash would not interrupt it because it was so small. You didn't have to do that with the Spectra camera. I want to point that out because the Spectra camera, sometimes I can talk. This camera had the flash on the side here, and the lens was in the middle. So it was much easier to put a piece of plexiglass covering this way. That way, the flash wouldn't interrupt or cause any reflections or anything in the plexiglass, or a painted glass, which you could take out of like a picture frame. So these are some of the images that I was able to come up with. They look pretty good. I like them all. This one here is my favorite. And I mean, you can see that it's transparent. You can see the eyes and the mouth, and it's there. I mean, I'm not going to get it perfect because I don't know if he used toilet paper or tissue paper to create the ghost. I don't know if he used whiteout. I don't know what he did. I'm just showing that it can be replicated. Okay, so what I'm doing is I have a box of film. I'm going to open it up. It's sealed. I'm going to open this up and take out some film, and we're going to see if we can get it. Here's some film that you can see is still in the pack. It's sealed up, not a big deal. We're going to open this up and discover something weird about this pack is it's empty. Look at that. It's a totally empty pack that was in a sealed pack. Oh, wow. I mean, how could that have happened? Let's put that away. Go back into our box. Bring out another pack that's sealed up, as you can see. And I'll do exactly what they do in the other films with Huckert and Mikowski, is that they don't actually show you the pack. They start kind of like this. They already have the pack in their hands, and they're gonna tear it open real quick, and they're gonna go like this with the pack, and you can see that there's film, there's a dark side, there's film in this pack. I'm gonna open it up, open the camera up, put it in here. There's the dark slide. I'm gonna try to keep everything in camera. I'm gonna take 3 pictures, and I'm gonna put them on that shelf right there, or this display thing here, so they can develop on film or on camera. Let's see. There's one. I'll put it right here. Let's see. There's 2. And again, I'm gonna put it right here in front of the camera so you guys can see it. And then number 3. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why. Number 3. All right. So we are gonna put this here and see if anything develops from them. It's gonna take a minute or 2, probably like 5 minutes. So I'll speed this up. As I walk away, they'll stay on camera. You'll see them develop. I'm gonna take this off because I don't need this anymore. All right, see you in a minute. All right, let's bring this in and look at each one. Look at that. Writing on it. Look at that. And from a sealed pack. Interesting. There's that. Let's see. We have... It looks like there is some writing on this. I don't know what it says. Oh, look. We even got some long exposure motion blur from the windows. That's interesting. And then this one, try to bring it into the light. There's some spooky lines onto it. Looks like a figure. And all 3 of these came from a pack that was sealed. At least a sealed. Let's see. At least from your point of view, they were sealed. And I'm going to insert a video here where it shows exactly what I did. All right, so in this part of the video, I'm going to try to show you how to get one of these packs open and get the film out and then reseal everything up. So I can't guarantee it's going to work. I hope it does. I've done this a couple times and with varying success. First, we're going to start. This is a full pack. It just came out of this box here. So it's a full pack. You can see that there's no tears. What I've been doing is getting this flap here, kind of going back and forth, because that loosens it up a little bit. It's not like it's vacuum sealed, but it's been in the package long enough that it's kind of stiff. So once I get that, then I'm going to go here. There's a divider here where the foil actually meets. It's almost like a Ziploc bag kind of thing, and these lines that you see here are where it's sealed. So I'm going to attempt to peel these apart. And there we go. We got that out. And when we put it back together, I'll put it in and just glue these seams together, and you probably won't ever know. So for now, I'm gonna mess with this, and then I'll come back to the video, or this part of the video, and I will put this back together. We'll see how it goes. All right, It's been about maybe 10 minutes, and I've done 3 of the images. I was playing around with it, so I'm not sure how they're going to turn out, because you never know. And I'm going to stick this back in. We're going to try and get this back in here and seal it up so that we can, quote-unquote, open a new pack. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, because if you note in the videos that the 2 Johns made, the original guys that did this, there was 2 videos where they show you the opening a pack and loading the camera, but they only start at the silver wrapper, this wrapper, and it's already in their hand, and they don't actually show the camera like all around. They already have it in their hand. They're like, oh look, I got a new pack, and then they go and open it, and they toss the wrapper, and nobody inspects the wrapper. So that's a big deal. So I got some super glue here. We're gonna see if we can do this. All right, so we're gonna apply some super glue, and we're just gonna fold it over.
A few moments later.
And pretty much there you go. That's a pack that is sealed back up. You can put it back in the box if you want, and it'll it's enough that, like, I'm showing you guys. I'm showing it to the camera, and again, I'll put up if I took my time, and I probably just used like the smaller glue thing. This is Loctite. This is like industrial stuff, but regular super glue would be much better. It would go on cleaner, but this is all I have right now, and basically that's it. I can put it back in this box if I wanted to and seal it up, but I don't have to, because again, the original videos that John Huckert made and the Sightings crew only show from the wrapper on, so that's all I need to show. There you go.
So, final thoughts. What do I think it was? Was it a genuine phenomena? Was it a mistaken analysis? Was it a hoax? I think it was a hoax. I really do. Everything points to it. You have 2 struggling screenwriters that were trying to get attention, trying to get noticed. So, I mean, what better way to get noticed than to get onto a nationwide television show that was extremely popular at the time? It started with John Huckert moving into the house. So there were no sightings or evidence or photos or anything before his residence there. But afterwards, it started happening all the time. It started when he was home alone. The first ghosty ghost was because he was home alone and he got the pictures himself. So I think he started this. They also had the idea that it only works with their camera, the Polaroid Spectra, specifically theirs, no one else's. I didn't see anyone else using their own cameras and getting the same kind of writing that we saw with the 2 Johns. So I think all in all, when we look at the Sightings episode, we look at the Fact or Faked episode, we look at the interviews that were done by John Huckert, it just looks like it all points to him, at least starting it. And I think once he started the ball rolling, I think John Mikowski saw the opportunity there and said, hey, I work in a photo lab, which is information that was withheld from all of these stories. The Sightings, the Fact or Faked, everyone withheld that information, which is important information. But thanks to Joe Nickel, we know that he did work in a photo lab, and I researched everything. I found where he did work. I found that article where he admits that he worked for at least two photo labs. So he had the tools and the supplies to do it. It all points to them evolving this hoax into something to gain attention. And I mean, I got to be honest, like between the 2 Johns, John Mikowski is the homeowner. He looks a bit more shy, but John Huckert looks like he sucks up that attention I mean, like he's dying of thirst. I mean, he's doing the interviews. He's become psychic. He's become like sensitive or something like that. He seems to exaggerate the story each time I've heard it told by him. So, yeah, I think it's a hoax. I don't think there's anything to it. I hope I showed you enough evidence that you agree with this. And if you don't, feel free to put your comments in the comments section, and I'll take a look. But I think for now, I think this is solved.